everyone, and happy Transformational Thursday. It's so great to be here with you. If you are live with me, I want you to put live in the comments right now and welcome. If you're joining me for the replay, please put hashtag replay into the comments so I know that you stopped by. Also, I'm going to be asking some questions to get you engaged. So if you could put in comments when I ask those questions, that would be amazing. So thank you so much. I am Debbie Balfour, and we're talking today about one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make, and that's leaving your 9 to 5 job to become a full-time real estate investor. For me, I was always planning, always wanting to, couldn't wait to ditch that 9 to 5. And when can I do this? And unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you may think about it, I got laid off before I was totally ready. And maybe you are not totally ready, always totally ready. But luckily for me too, I did start doing some of these things in advance that I'm going to talk to you about. So the transition wasn't too bad. I got pushed into it. And sometimes, yeah, we do like maybe, you know, become too attached to that job, that full-time job, and think of it as security, and it's not. As it happened in my case, I thought 16 years with my company. I had my bosses had told me I was in a very strategic role. They fought for me for this, to have this role. They were not going to give it up, and then boom, I was laid off. And so your job isn't secure. So some of these things that I'm going to be talking to you today, you may have as planned to leave your 9 to 5 in X number of time, but the reality is that might happen sooner without you planning it. On the other hand, you may be eager to leave that 9 to 5, and maybe it's not the right time. So I want to talk you through some of the things that you need to have in place before you consider leaving that 9 to 5 job. Okay. And once again, hashtag live if you're here live, and replay if you are watching the replay. So thank you for stopping by. So too many people romanticize the freedom of full-time investing and end up overwhelmed, underprepared, and broke. So I'm here to make sure that that's not your story. So this session is about the roadmap to exit your 9 to 5 with clarity, confidence, and a real strategy. And these are things that in my program, the REI Business Transformation Program, we work on. It's not just about finding the right real estate investing strategy for you, which is what we do, but then we work on setting you up for success. So putting all these things in place for when you are, for your plan for when you're going to leave the 9 to 5, but also considering that it might not be you deciding to leave that 9 to 5. It might be the 9 to 5 leaving you. So we put all these things in place for as contingency, as a plan, as a roadmap for you. So let's get going and go through it. So what are things you need to consider when quitting? Number one is your income, your salary. Today, if you're still in your 9 to 5, your salary is what's qualifying you for mortgages and for loans, right? If you don't have a T4, if you don't have, pay stubs, etc., they want 2+ years of self-employed income. Something to consider too with that self-employed income is like they want to make sure that the income you're making at the end of the year is enough to cover that mortgage and those loans. However, as real estate investors and running a business, we try to write off as many things as possible so that we're showing our income as low as possible. So consider that T1 that they're going to ask for those 2 years may not be showing enough income to qualify. So those are all things you need to consider of how you're going to be structuring your accounting systems so that, yeah, you're paying as little taxes as possible, but at the same time, can you qualify for a mortgage? And when I say qualify for a mortgage, I'm not talking about just the investment properties. If you still have a mortgage on your home and you're wanting to move to another lender, you'll need to requalify again for that. And do you have enough income to even qualify for the home that you have right now? So those are really things to consider, right? Refinancing even your own home could become a hurdle. So drop job income into the comments for me if that's something right now that you're using your job income to qualify for loans. And so it's loans, mortgages, credit cards, all of those things. So those are all things to ensure that you are, you know that you're in the right place. So don't be so quick to quit that job if you haven't set up your business to be showing enough income. You don't have long enough, that 2 years to qualify, and that the income, even with those 2 years, may not be showing the right amount in order to qualify. So let's move on. Uh, when we're talking about once you leave that 9 to 5, you need to be able to cover your income coming in. That you were depending on your job to do that. So now that income is gone. How are you going to cover your monthly expenses? And for how long are you going to be able to do that? So those are things to consider. You want to have at least 12 months of living expenses that you've saved. But don't underestimate the amount of money that you need. You'll need to properly go through your credit card statements, your all the different utilities you're doing. Are you going to want to keep the lifestyle that you have right now? Are you willing to sacrifice until you're up and running fully in your business full time to be able to compensate for all those things that you do today? Maybe that you go out to dinners, maybe want to travel. Are you willing to give up those things you know right away as soon as you go into being a professional real estate investor? Or do you want to continue doing that as a professional real estate investor? Well, then, if that's the case, your income, the money that you have for your living expenses, now your living expenses need to include those little luxuries that you give yourself. So those are all things to consider. So make sure that you're making a full list of rent, mortgage, utilities, gas, all your subscriptions, you know, all of these things that you do, that consider all of them. Go through your statements properly. Go through your bank account statement that you're having, debits coming out. And many of us have multiple bank statements. So check out all of those. I want to go back. I forgot to mention something when we were talking about loans. Make sure that you are, right now when you're qualifying, when the bank is reaching out and giving you credit cards, pre-approved credit cards, take them. Take them right now, because then you don't need to requalify for those later, right? So take as many credit cards and all those unsecured credits that you're being offered, that's pre-approved. Take them. That way that when you don't have that income coming in, you've already secured on that side. Okay, so just a little tip there before we go further, because that just popped into my head that I wanted to tell you that. So I want you to type in monthly reality if you ever underestimate your living costs. And so put that into the chat. Monthly reality if you underestimate your living costs. And also remember, things are also inflation. We like prices today and prices tomorrow seems to be drastically different. It's like I know that I go now to the grocery store and I get two bags, just two little carrying bags, and I've spent $300. That's just crazy. I think a few years ago I was going to Costco and filling up my whole trolley for $300. So those are all things to consider, right? Okay, next thing. Many of us take for granted, we forget that when we have a full time job, we have coverage under that full time job for health insurance, dental, critical illness, life insurance. These are all covered for many of us under our employment benefits. When that employer disappears, then you are the one that has to cover those things. So they disappear the second you quit your job. So you need to do some research into, health insurance options, disability, critical illness, your life insurance. Like have start doing some of that, investigation together. I know what I started to do with mine is that I was given like credits and I could buy certain choose what I wanted in my plan. So a year before I actually lost my job, I had already moved my created a life insurance with critical illness policy for myself, and so I didn't use those credits at, right there. I didn't use it on those things. Luckily for me, my husband is covered fully when it comes from the health and dental part. So I knew I could go on his plan when that disappeared. But these are all things that you need to think about. Like what are the health insurance options out there? How much do you need? Consider disability and critical illness, and that your life insurance, make sure that you're covered. A little tip for the life insurance, which is kind of like, I'm going to go divert a bit, is that if you're paying for mortgage insurance right now, get rid of it. Right? I did that for 20 years, paying for mortgage insurance, and didn't realize that my like didn't even click that I was paying this premium based on, what the mortgage it was at the time that I got into it. And I continued paying that premium, although my mortgage got less and less and less, and I had like 30,000 only, and I was still paying for this huge amount of coverage. And I didn't need to do that. You don't have to. You can decline it. Instead, have life insurance that will cover you if anything happens, to pay off your debts, to pay off your mortgage. Right? And as you're paying down your mortgage, then that life insurance will then, now more will go to your beneficiaries, which is great. And you're not paying for something that's actually being less and less and less coverage as you get, as you're really trying to pay down your mortgage. So think about that. Get rid of that mortgage insurance, up your life insurance to cover your debts, your investments, that your investment properties, your home, etc. So just use the life insurance and get rid of the mortgage insurance. Just a little tip there. So comment on in the, down below in the comments. Put a message in the comments. Comment in the comments. If you are going to lose your benefits, and if this is one of the biggest hesitations that's keeping you back from leaving your 9 to 5, or if you didn't even consider it, let me know. And if this isn't like an aha moment. So these are things I work with my clients, and I would work with you if you were in my REI business transformation program. We put together this plan. We look for options. I get you to go out there and research these things and hold you accountable. So we create this roadmap that is more than just your real estate investing strategy, like what you are, that I'm going to do buy and holds, etc. We go deep into all these things to put that roadmap, and that's unique to you, right? And it's going to set you up with that path that is practical and implementable. I'm all about risk aversion. I'm a low risk person, although I seem to jump into things. It seems like I jump into things head on, but it's all about, when it comes to my home and my investments, etc. I've got a short runway. with being 56 years old. So I don't go crazy. And in my background, I was in project management and risk management. So those skills are, and that way of thinking is always in the back of my mind. Okay, so let's head on. Once you leave your job, you're now a full-time business, right? And again, you're going to want to now start creating that income coming in to cover your expenses, to replace your full-time job. So you don't want to be spending time on little tasks. You don't want to be working in your business. You want to be working on your business. You want to be working on things that's bringing in money that will keep your business growing. In order to do that, you need to have systems and tools and processes and people in place. So those things are working, for you, like tickety boo. Right? They're doing that in things so that you can be not working in there doing your, um, you know, doing your own social media, uh, spending a lot of time, doing property analysis. You're being busy trying to do your bookkeeping and your accounting and your taxes, and you're doing your scheduling and you're doing your admin and you're doing all these things that are just like, it's not the ones that are getting you will get you bring in the income. It's the ones that will sustain your business. So these are things you want to put in place when you're working on the side. You can do this just that if you're a novice, if you're a like even aspiring, you're just starting to be a real estate investor. You want to start putting these things in place right now, so that as you scale, it helps you to scale and it gives you back your time so that you can work on revenue generating tasks. So things that you need to consider and tools, and that you're going to think, am I going to use people for this? I'm going to use tools for this. What tools are out there? There are plenty of free things that you can do when your business is small that will set you up for success, that will take things off of you when jobs off of you, and make it easier for you to track and automate systems. And once you start scaling, then you can start paying for it as your business grows, as you need more licensing, etc. So things to consider are, how are you tracking all your leads? You should be networking all the time, meeting new people, how are you tracking those? There are lead tracking systems. There are CRMs that don't cost a whole lot or nothing at all, like Hotspot, um, like HubSpot. So, things like that, like look into a CRM system maybe that is free to use, or just a small monthly amount, and start tracking your leads. A lot of these systems will allow you to do emails out of them. Track, put notes in there to keep track of all your people, be able to handle people like just signing up to be part of your network. So that's something you want to start looking into, having a lead tracking CRM. It's not until you're big. Start now as you have the people. So while you're looking for these though, start tracking everyone on an Excel spreadsheet. And that way you can import that into when you find your customer relationship management database. So that is the CRM. Okay. How are you doing property analysis? Do you have something that's repeatable to do that? It could be that you're using, like, create an Excel spreadsheet where you can just plug things in. Accounting and taxes, do you have a system set up for that? Do you have a bookkeeper? Have somebody else that can take that on. Are you able to, are you using QuickBooks so that you can quickly scan uh, receipts and keep things updated and get access to it? Yeah. If you automated your calendars, that's something that's super easy to do. And it's, there are Calendly and 10 to 8 and all these other calendars that are out there that are, free to use for a set amount of people coming in or a set amount of calendar events that you have, etc. So look at those. I know if you go on AppSumo, AppSumo, AppSumo has got TidyCal. It used to be $29.99. I think it's up to $39.99 now. But that's a lifetime use of it, and it does all the things that Calendly does. So check out that it's TidyCal in AppSumo, and then you've got a lifetime use of it, and there's no limitations on that. So, start by doing that. Start by automating your calendar, looking at how you can, automate your admin. Think about using something like Asana or Monday.com that's free for like the first two users on there, so that you start tracking everything that you're doing in your business. Track it and put it into like headings and sections or projects, so that once you start to grow, you can start, those become a template that the next property you do, or the next time you do whatever opportunity, that it's the same steps that are there, and you can just like replicate it. You know exactly what you have to do, and you just have to execute on it. And if you have things like that, it's also easy for you to assign out the work, so that you can start saying, okay, this is going to go to my VA, this is going to go to the contractor, this is going to go to, you know X person, all of these things. That way you can start giving away jobs that you're doing, that will then free you up to do jobs that will be bringing in the cash. So put systems in the comments if you're actually buried in back end work, that that you're doing, that could be given away to somebody else. You're so buried in that back end that you don't have time for the revenue generating tasks you really need to do. So put systems in there for me if that's the case. Let's move on. Legal consultation and contract reviews. As full-time investors, we need contracts. We're using contracts, whether it's contractors from general contractors for renovations, whether it's you know you're lending money to someone, or you're borrowing money from someone. We're issuing tenancy agreements, right? Lease agreements, any of those kind of things. We're contracts. Remember that when you are signing something from someone else, whose from whose view is that contract written? Put that in the comments for me. Who do you think is being protected by that contract that you are being asked to sign? It's definitely not you. It's that person that's asking you to sign it. So you should be having legal review before you sign anything like that. If you're an active investor and you have tenants, you've got a possibility of tenancy issues, and then you're lost when you don't know what your rights are. You don't, you need someone to advocate on your behalf. All of these things you need a lawyer for. You need legal review. If we're stepping into something new, we're not sure how to navigate that. What are the legal things that are required, because we're starting this new strategy, this new project, this new way of transitioning our business. But it's expensive to just call up a lawyer to ask for this advice. They want a retainer. It's like $300 an hour. It's crazy how expensive it is. Well, I have a solution for you that I have found. And so I have this prepaid legal insurance that allows me to get unlimited legal consultation on all of these things. So I use it for my contract reviews. Every time I have to sign a contract now, I say, I will get my lawyer to review this. And I'm not lying. I am getting my lawyer to review it, and I can just send it off and get them to review it. And I don't, it doesn't cost me anything except my monthly, what I'm paying monthly. I have unlimited legal consultation. Like someone told me I needed a will for my corporation. So I reached out and I said, "Do I need a will for my corporation?" It, just this, and they said, "Oh no, Debbie, you just have to. I have my homes under my. I have three homes under my holdco, and I want to make sure that if anything happens to my husband and I, that my boys are able to get those." And they said, "No, you just have to give your, you have to in your will give over your shares to your children, and now they are in control of that." So all these things, like I didn't have to just to pay to get that consultation or to believe what other people with that haven't passed the bar are telling me. So these things, I also had some tenancy issues, and they were able to guide me. They went through my lease agreement, told me what paragraphs were being violated, what to say, what to send off, and if I needed, they would send a letter to them too. So all these things are all included. So if you guys think that this interests you, reach out to me and I'll tell you, all about it, and see if it's something that will work for you, that will help you with some of these things that we go through. Uh, so, and another way I trick the system is when it comes to me creating contracts, I go onto ChatGPT, or I get a template for that contract. I fill it out and then I send it off to my lawyers, and then the lawyers then edit it and say, "Oh, Debbie, change this. You need to add that, etc." And that counts as a contract review, and I don't have to pay anybody to create a contract for me. I use one that I could find, I edit it to try to make it my own, and they make it mine by adding in anything that I'm missing or removing things that I shouldn't have on there. So type legal peace, or DM me if you want to find out more about this particular product and how it could help you. Okay, now mindset and mental prep. This is just as important as all those other things that I've talked to you about. So, no steady paycheck, there's no boss. It can be terrifying. It can be both liberating and terrifying. Not having a boss there, it means you can do whatever you want. You don't have to, you're not accountable to anybody. At the same time, you don't have someone telling you what to do. So, you're also playing multiple roles. That's why I told you about those systems and processes. So, this is where you're going to face things like doubt, imposter syndrome, and because now you're a CEO, right? So now you need to think like a CEO, and now that's what makes the imposter syndrome might step in and say, "Well, I don't have the experience. How can I do that?" All these things. You have family pressures of people doubting that you can do it. There are people that are going to say to you like, "Oh, how could you do this? How could you give up your job? You're going to fail. Real estate investing isn't safe. You guys know it, right?" So you're going to have those family pressures, but also you're going to have that family pressure of how will I be able to support my my family that's living in my home, and that can be a bit scary. And there's the risk of burnout because you're trying to do everything, because now you're working weekends, you're working, just as it's liberating that you can make your own time and you can decide when you go on holidays and what days off you want to take. That's amazing. When you're sick, there's nobody you have to call into, which is awesome. All right. At the same time, as an entrepreneur, we are now deciding how much we work, and we are doing a lot of the work, so there is that risk of burnout. So these are all things to consider, and that's why you need a community, you need coaching, and you need accountability, and you need people. You need to give away some of that right? So you need to keep within that community and get coaching and mentoring that will keep you on the right path, that will keep help you with your mindset, that will give you support, that you can maybe ask questions. Am I is this just me feeling this way? Like all of those things. All right, so drop mindset if that's one of your biggest challenges to leaving your 9 to 5. So just a recap for you now. So we're getting to the end. So, uh, you know, your freedom, transition checklist, you need to know your mortgage options, understand that. How are you going to qualify? Maybe try to pay off your home if it's that's possible. Looking at strategies around to pay off your home by using things like the using some oh my words are failing me, but the Smith maneuver, right? So using things like that, there are there are strategies out there to help you to pay down your mortgage. So we would want to look at those things. What are your mortgage options? How far are you from paying it off? Will you qualify? All of those things. So know your those mortgage options there. Prepare your income cushion. So for me, I knew that I had enough in my RSPs that I could start using those, right? And that was my plan. So for my year after in my business, when I would ditch my 9 to 5, my plan was that I would have that RSPs as my backup, and that was what I would tap into. So that's a possibility. So what are you going to use as your income cushion? Another idea of there actually is, if you've already got income properties, is that maybe you decide to sell one of those properties for that year, that where you have equity in it, and you that equity would cover that year of income while you're building your business. So it's not just about cash flow. So you don't necessarily have to have your your investments giving you cash flow to cover that, or that you have that savings there, because that is quite a lot of money to save. But there are other things like your RSPs that you can do. You can sell one of your income properties, and now you have the money to cover that. Okay, so get your insurance options lined up. Move, ensure that you've got your life insurance, that you've got your critical illness, that you've thought of all these things. Perhaps that if there's somebody else in your family, like my husband has, that has the option of using their, their health insurance, that you then will increase on that one, maybe, those kind of things, that you have something to fall back on, either that there's a paid version that you're going to take, or that somebody else in the family is covering that. Put systems, processes, automation in process now, to start freeing you up, so that as soon as you go full time, that you're working on the highest earning tasks, and you're not working on those menial ones. Also look at options of where start now looking at things that in the future that you can give away, that you want to give away to people, give away to systems, give away to tools. Make sure that you're documenting all your processes, what you're doing, so it's repeatable. Okay? Get affordable legal support. So I can't stress this enough. I didn't know until a year ago about that this it was available to me. So if you are in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario, reach out to me, talk to me about this product, and I'll be able to help you. And if you are in the US, it's across the United States. It's the only company that's doing this, and it will provide you with not just legal consultation for free, but legal protection, because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. So you can be proactive and make sure use this product to get legal advice before you do something, so you know that you're doing it properly. You can get consultation for contracts, etc. and for, you know, and for anything that's happening. If something happens, what are my rights? Can I do this? What should I say? What should I do? If you're someone that has people that owe you money, you know, collection letters, all of these things, it covers that. So get the right legal support that's affordable. And then train your mindset now for the ride. Start thinking like the person in the future that's going to be leaving their job, that's no longer has that 9 to 5. I want you to start training your mind to think like that person right now, so that, and if you also have all these systems and processes and the things in this checklist that I'm telling you in place, that actually will overcome that imposter syndrome mindset, that doubt, because you'll have things already thought out. You'll already have that roadmap that will take you into that transition with total confidence. So, uh, thank you for sticking around until the end. I do have a giveaway. So these things that I'm saying, I have it documented on a PDF. So if you would like the full-time investor readiness checklist, drop free gift into the comments and I will send that to you. And then also, if you want to talk to me about my REI business transformation program, just DM me and I'll send you a link to a discovery call with me and we can chat to see if, you know, my program is a right fit for you. So let's set up a call and talk about this. I do support people in many different ways, so not just that program. Wherever you are, we can figure out if if there's something that I can do to help you to move forward. So, in closing, your freedom is possible, but freedom without preparation is just stress, right? With a better branding on it, right? It just sounds like, oh, financial freedom, but you know, if you're not prepared, you're just going to make yourself stressful, and also it could be that you actually sabotage yourself. All right. So let's build that your bridge first. Let's get you prepared, and then it's so much easier to like ditch that 9 to 5. Or in my case, where the 9 to 5 ditched me, you know, I didn't at first. I was like shocked, but then I was like, hey, Debbie, you prepared for this. You've been manifesting this. You're ready for this. It's okay for it not to be there. You have your options. You've already set things in place. So thanks for tuning in this week. Drop your biggest takeaways into the comments. Let me know that you're actually watching this, that you're getting value from it, so I continue doing these things. Grab your checklist, put free gift in there. DM me to find out more about the program if that interests you. DM me to find out more about the affordable legal support that can help you right now in what you're doing. And stay tuned. See you again for my next Transformational Thursday. Next Thursday, same bad channel, same bad time. See you. Debbie out.